And good job holding a 40, 50-pound weight on your head while you were dancing in this thing.
That's, they make it look easy. I mean, those headdresses and those costumes were, 50, 60, 70 pounds with the backpack and the headdress. And you're walking downstairs. You have to kind of skate your heel along, find the stair and go down, but look straight and smile. And I don't know, it sounds easy.
No, it does not sound easy at all. Nice to see you. How are you?
I'm great. It's good to be home, too. It's nice to be here supporting the film in Canada. I can't wait for it to come out.
And it's nice to be back in BC. You're happy to be home?
Oh, I'm so happy to be home. Every time I step foot on the island, I just feel like everything's okay. It's a crazy time in the world.
Of course. It's a beautiful film. Congratulations on it. I got a couple of questions on it. First off, I was reading this interview from a few years ago. I think it was with Ronan Farrow that said when you were a kid, you either wanted to be a nun or a showgirl because of the costumes. Am I right about that?
Well, I was joking. But yeah, they both have great costumes.
I thought it was true. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. She ended up a showgirl in this show too,
Well, I mean, I could have. I'm sure I did think about that when I was younger. I did. A nun or a showgirl.
Did the showgirl thing appeal to you? Like, what was it? Something about the glamour that appealed to you when you were young, or anything?
Well, not when I was. I mean, really, when I went to the Jubilee. Actually, I've been to the show, and just Las Vegas, I think, is so seductive in many ways. In a way, it just drums up certain feelings. Either you hate it or you love it. But I always wondered about the women holding up the rhinestones. I just knew they were, more than meets the eye. Like, what do they do during the day? What's Vegas like during the day? So it was really fun to really explore and transform into this character who I had so much empathy for. But I think that, in wearing those showgirl costumes that were Bob Mackie museum pieces that hadn't left the building in 30 years, they still had women's name tags in them. Like, you just felt a part of history. You just felt like there was magic in the costume. So I can cross that off the list. I've been a showgirl.
Tell me about the first day on set.
Wow. Well, the first day on set, I met Jamie Lee Curtis, and I was, just a little bit afraid to meet her. She just won an Academy Award. She was coming to do this movie. She's a force of nature. And she had just gotten her second or third spray tan. And we were sitting down to do a table read, and she was changing colors before my eyes. She was like, her tan was intensifying. Her lips were getting whiter. Her hair, with this wig, because we were trying these, we're trying out what our looks were going to be. And it was in the beginning stages of that. So,
you could always get together with Eddie.
What? Oh my God, that's
could.
a first. Who are you?
Hey, Tony, I need a Jack and Ginger.
Hey, we're cutting the floor. You
What?
and Esme can go home.
Who's staying?
Jennifer and Jessica.
Of course they are.
that was a little intimidating, but she just grabbed me by the shoulders and she said, "Pamela, I did this movie for you." And I thought, God, she's just is such a champion of women and such a wonderful person. And to share her, just her power, her love, her artistic kind of she just could see through the nonsense. And I was so grateful that Gia could too, where I didn't know if I'd ever get to be able to be in a movie like this. And for them to embrace me so much was just really incredible. Gia Coppola from, both of them, from Hollywood royalty, taking me under their wings and saying, "You can do this," I didn't want to let them down.
What does, I have two questions on that. What did Jamie Lee Curtis mean when she said she did it for you?
She wanted to support me as an actress, as a person, and she believed in me. She thought that I had, sorry about that,
That's all right.
that I had more to give. And she'd been there in her life and had to reinvent herself. And I think that she's just paying it forward. She got opportunity and she really saw something in me. And she's a special person. She's a very spiritual person. She's been through a lot in her life. I think she just is such a giving artist. And that's, what we're all here to do. So that's another level of commitment and just lucky. I'm lucky.
What did you mean when you said that you never thought you'd end up doing a movie like this? Is it because sort of the world saw you one way, and this was sort of another way?
I mean, being a part of pop culture, I say, is a blessing, and it also has its downsides because you kind of start at a deficit where you have to prove yourself sometimes even further to convince somebody that you are capable of more. I mean, it's a compliment. It's a great compliment to be remembered for, either the red bathing suit or all these, kind of fun fashion moments that turn into Halloween costumes. But I knew I was capable of more than that, and I love creating characters, and that's, I think, part of the reason people love those characters is because it was more than what you think. There was a lot. It was a full commitment. It was a full commitment to what I was doing in those times. And I feel the same way now, where I always say the best part of me is my work ethic and my imagination and my curiosity. And I'll make my life beautiful no matter what. And I had gone home. I did Broadway, first of all. I thought from Baywatch to Broadway, that sounds good. That's good enough for me. I thought maybe that's it. That's it. Just leave it there. I'll go into my garden and make pickles and I love it too. But then this script came about and it almost didn't get to me. And it was turned down by an old agent. And then finally the director found me through my son, Brandon. And I read it and I read it right here where I'm sitting right now and read it and just thought, whoa, I can hear the voice. I can see what this character is. And there wasn't one word out of place. There wasn't one scene out of place. I could see some of myself in the role, but that was just the jumping off point. I mean, you take all your life experience and you put it into a role, and then hopefully you can transcend, whatever that magical moment is between the director and the actor, and all the stars align. And that I was just so happy to see that on the screen because I never experienced that before. I just was going to work as hard as I possibly could and see what happened. I mean, it was an experiment of all these things that I've learned in my career and lifetime and hard work, even with and I have an acting teacher and everything I've read, everything I've seen. And I just realized, oh, this is why my life has been the way it is, so I can do this project. And that made it all make sense. So this was a real incredible experience for me. If people loved it or not, it was really great for my soul. I had to do it.
You had to do some very intense emotional work in this film. You have to go to some really deep, dark, heavy emotional places. What did you have to do, even like on set, before you approached some of these scenes? How did you prepare?
I was very focused. I mean, I prepared for this film like I would a play. So I knew this film inside out and backwards, all the dialogue, but that's the easy part. And the dancing and the choreography. And, we shot this movie in 18 days. So we were shooting many scenes a day, which is hard to imagine as an actor. That's a lot of work. And I was in everything. I'm on every page. So I thought, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to just go for it. But I wasn't like a chatty Cathy on the set where a lot of people can talk between scenes and like they're whatever. But I was focused. My head was against the wall. And, I do a lot of emotional diaries, a lot of work, I have books and notebooks and so many things, how I prepared for this. And, again, everybody does things a little differently, but there are ways to, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's very rewarding when you can know when to let go, know when to fight back, know when to, you have a lot of inner work going on and you can't hide anything in your eyes. And I feel like when I saw for the first time at TIFF was the first time I'd seen the film with the entire cast in a, theater full of people. And I looked up and I thought, whoa, like, there she is. That's not even me. That's crazy. Like, this is how it works. It was really just wild. I'd never felt that way before. I never I don't like to watch myself doing anything anyway. I was already terrified to see it. But as it kind of went on, I realized, wow, this is wild. I just, want to do more.
Help me understand this better. So, like, were you in your trailer writing in notebooks? Were you in your trailer? Well, like, what were you writing? What were you were before you would do these really intense scenes?
I did, like, we do a lot of work beforehand. I mean, for months I was working on it. This movie got pushed a couple times because of the strike and things were going on. So I was working with an acting teacher, Ivana Chubbuck, who I love and I've known for a very long time. And so you go through the scenes and you write about things that have happened in your life, or what are the stakes in these scenes, and you just write about what is something really, it could be anything. It could be about your kids, about your relationships, about yourself, about your childhood, about your parents, just to get into that space and to really add the layers and the nuances to the performance so that there's a human experience going on, because we're all so full of these, we all are fighting these invisible battles. So that's what I love about the art form, is that, you can't,
Right.
you can go to therapy, you can talk to your best friend, but you can't get it out. I always felt like I've had this monster inside me that couldn't get out, that was someone I'd just been repressing, and something that I needed to get out. And I felt a little bit of that on Broadway when I was on stage. I felt very safe on stage. I felt really wonderful. And same in some of these scenes, in all of these scenes, this entire film. It was fun to express. I think it's just self-expression, or just expression in another way. It's something, I always say everybody should take acting classes, because you really find out a lot about yourself. Or you find that some of those difficult moments you can put somewhere, and then you feel, then it's out. It's not still stuck in you.
A monster.
Little monster.
What's the monster that needed to come out?
I don't know. It's hard to. People probably think this is crazy, but I've always felt like I was hanging on to something, or that I'm carrying a secret, that I was capable of more. Like something just, and I would take drawing lessons, and when I was in Montmartre, or I would take, just I just never. You don't know until you try, and I never took. Wanted to take dance lessons when I was young. I just felt musical. I felt that way, but I didn't have the resources to be able to do those things as a kid, and so I just figured it out along the way. And I've been playing characters in my personal life for sure. And now that I'm doing film, I feel like I can just be myself now, and I can play characters in movies, which is exciting. Are you kidding? Yeah, you heard this from Muffy?
Yeah.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
There's a moment I wanted to ask you about where I don't want to spoil anything, but there's this really powerful monologue you give about mothers, and about how mothers are not superheroes. They're not created from stardust. They're normal, regular humans doing their best, and it's a really powerful part of the film. And am I right? Did I read that you improvised that? That came from you?
I ad-libbed that scene. Yeah, I just started talking as if I'd be talking to my own kids. It was just came out, but it was also the character as well. So that was something that just happened. But it's true. We're neither saints nor saviors. We're just people doing the best we can. I always say there's no perfect way to be a parent. And, try and realize your dreams, and work really hard, and try and digest your whole life experience and raise kids. So I have such a great relationship with my boys that we've been able to have these conversations, things, even to have a mother who was objectified early in their lives. How did that feel for them? They were going through it too. It wasn't just me trying to get through it. I was dragging my kids through this. And I'm not saying that was a bad intentional thing that we do. It's just that sometimes we forget that, our kids are going through what we're going through. And I think as a single parent, they're even more protective. So I wanted to make sure that we had those conversations. And I guess that kind of came from that.
It sounds, I don't know you, but it sounds like, it sounds like you've been thinking about this, because the last time you were here, we talked so much about the amount of work you've done on yourself, and the amount of skeletons you dug out of the closet, and not just dug them out, but laid them out in the carpet and looked at them, and some of the trauma around you that you've owned and been really open and honest about. So it would make sense to me that as you realize, like, hey, it wasn't just me that went through this. It wasn't just me who felt this way. My kids had to go through that. They had to deal with a parent. I mean, I guess two parents, but they had to go through a parent majorly in the spotlight like you, that even though you were playing a role, that would come out in your improvised monologue that, hey, we're all just doing our best here as parents.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was very, I was trying to think, but it was later on in the filming, and I'm so sorry about that. It's Brandon, actually.
He's hearing it. He's saying, Mom, don't rat me out.
But no, he's not. I don't know where he is right now, what he's doing.
I'm just joking.
But just know that he's safe. My kids are both in Los Angeles.
Okay, good.
And I'm, extra worried and micromanaging.
Oh, you must be so worried. You must be so terrified all the time.
Yeah, I am. But they're very smart and independent kids, and they're very strong and capable.
God love them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel.
It was a bit late in the filming, you said. It was a bit late when you were filming.
It was late in the filming, I said, but it really was. It was a transformation, but it was like it's amazing. Okay, I know there's some obscure moments in the film, or some people have some questions about things, but I always feel like the audience is a character in the film.
Right.
I mean, I feel like you bring so much, like art is subjective, you bring so much to it. And so I just feel like it's great that to know how people are feeling, that they're feeling what I'm feeling. And I think that's the job, is to be able to have that connection, and it's the audience. And I don't know, I just feel like they're a character in the film. And yeah, and so the lines kind of get blurred sometimes, and I'm just really excited that people are picking up on these moments and look at their own lives, and probably we all know Shelley's.
Was writing the memoir and making the documentary and all the excavation and all the work you did the last time we talked, revisiting old wounds, parts of your life that you hadn't addressed in a while, was there something in the process of doing that helped you play this character?
I think so. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, after doing Broadway, which I put a lot into as well, I worked very hard. I worked with, an acting teacher as well, and voice and dance and everything. And dance, too, is another way to get a lot out. It definitely kind of set me up, because in my documentary, I didn't really even see the whole documentary. I did my few interviews, and a lot of it was just footage that, Brandon produced and worked with somebody to put together. It was hard for me to even watch that, but my memoirs were very therapeutic, and this is another cathartic experience. It's like, it becomes almost autobiographical, even really, though it has nothing to do with you, that really you're just the jumping off point. But to be able to have these experiences in your pockets that you can access and pull out and bring into these characters is really exciting. It's just it's a lot of hard work, and there's magic involved, and the stars have to align. And a performance is about the script, the director, the music. I mean, we're so lucky we had Miley Cyrus do a great song.
Yeah, beautiful song.
When I was at the Toronto Film Festival, it was the first time I heard the song.
When you say parts of this felt autobiographical, what do you mean by that? Like, what's an example of that?
Well, I don't think it's autobiographical at all, literally, but it becomes that because when you're doing scenes with other people, you are accessing your life experience. So it becomes something, obviously it's you, and you only have your own experiences to draw from. And so it's a very interesting art form. It's something that I've always gravitated towards. I've always so curious about it, how it all works. When I was doing, I've told this story, when I was doing Playboy covers, I would go to Samuel French and sit on the floor and read Tennessee Williams plays and Eugene O'Neill and Sam Shepard and wonder, how do you get from here to there? Like, I know A, I know B, but I don't know how to get from A to B. And so it's nice to finally be here where I'm doing the hard work and being recognized for that, because I've always known I was capable of more, and I was just waiting. I don't even think I was waiting anymore. I'd kind of given up on waiting. And then that's when it happens. It's like sometimes when you think it's the end, it's really the beginning.
What's the lesson there? What's the lesson that you were doing Playboy covers and you were saying no one is taking me seriously? I'm here doing Playboy covers. I'm reading Samuel Beckett on the floor. And then for years afterwards, that you struggled to be taken seriously, struggled to be taken, someone to think of you as someone who could do a real role, someone who could do more, what? And then here you are in one of the most acclaimed films of the year, doing this performance with so much depth. What's the lesson there?
Well, it's just that it's never too late. Never too late to never give up. It's never too late to pick up where you left off or start over. It's just a choice, but it's also you need someone else to believe in you too. So the first thing is you have to believe in yourself before others do, and when you get the opportunity, recognize it and have the nerve to do it. Because I'm sure opportunities pass us by all the time. We just didn't see it. We were distracted, or it could be anything. And now's my time anyway, I think, to work like this, because when I raised two boys, and I went through a lot of things in my personal life with my, marriage or marriages, and I just wasn't focused. Now my kids are grown, they're doing well. I have my full focus is my work. My relationship is my work, and I'm having the best time ever.
There's no shortage of actors who are able to have whole brand new careers in their 50s and 60s. I mean, Demi Moore, Angelina Jolie, and Jamie Lee Curtis, who was in this thing. Is that a new dream you have for yourself now that you've been in this?
I mean, I think my career has just started. Everything in my life has just been boot camp. I mean, I just took an unorthodox route. I didn't know how I was going to get here. And since a young girl, I always have said, I'll recognize myself when I'm older. I don't know. I had that in my head since, 5-6 years old. I just thought, okay, I need a good 50 years before I see myself.
Really?
I knew that as a kid. Yeah, so strange. And here I am, 50 years later, and I recognize myself. And all of this has been such a surreal, wonderful, wild, messy life. And I don't regret it. I mean, in hindsight, you go, oh, I would have done a couple things differently, for sure. But I needed the life experience and education to understand that. So just, this is why this is so exciting. And the fact that it's so precious that it almost slipped through my fingers. But I took it on like life or death. I took it on with all I had. And I think that's how you have to tackle these kind of things. It's not easy. And I'm really proud of the film and proud of everybody in the film, because it's the whole crew, the whole cast and crew, everybody. We just dove in, and it was shot on film, so the stakes were high. It wasn't like we were just doing 100 takes, we were just doing a couple takes. So it just I'm really fortunate, and I still, even talking to you, sometimes I go, did this even really happen?
Believe me, I'm asking myself that question right now, talking to you. But great to talk to you, and also great job. This whole conversation I've been going, is this really happening? Am I really doing this?
Oh my God, no, is this really happening? Me too.
Is there and good job holding a 40, 50-pound weight on your head while you were dancing in this thing.
That's, they make it look easy. I mean, those headdresses and those costumes were, 50, 60, 70 pounds with the backpack and the headdress. And you're walking downstairs, you have to kind of skate your heel along, find the stair and go down, but look straight and smile. And I don't know, it sounds easy.
No, it does not sound easy at all. It sounds like my worst. I'm glad. What's the trick to it? What's the trick to wearing 70 pounds in your head and walking up and down the stairs?
Keep your head still. Smile. Maybe the smile holds it up. No, usually the girls would only have these headdresses on for a couple minutes, where we were wearing them all day. And that, you need a good massage after that. But you're leaning against the wall, and then people would have to tell us, and it was just like, I kept thinking, I don't want to take my headdress off. I just want to do this. I don't want to get unfocused. And then they'd be like, no, everyone take their headdresses off. Oh, okay. But they had to, because you would start feeling dizzy.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't that, so we had to. They were really wonderful and took care of us. So they were thinking about our health and well-being. Yeah,
you're about 2 inches shorter than you were when you first started. You're just being driven into the ground. Lovely to get the chance to talk to you again. Thanks so much for making the time.
Thanks. Thank you, Tom. Thank you so much.